we'd like to sincerely thank our Patreon supporters.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is going to be an exciting video, releasing the quail into their enclosures. And that rooster, I tell you. In the last video, we got all the way up to getting sand done in these 2 enclosures. I wish I could say it dried out more, but it's been steady raining still. But this should put them much higher than the surrounding ground. We got the 2 done. Kagan is going to the gym this morning, so I'm gonna try and get these other 2 done before she gets back. I'm sure she's gonna sneak back before I get done. She doesn't like the fact that I'm working without her, I'm sure. But I mentioned before we had some plants. I already have the blueberry set in place. We looked up a couple plants that do well in the enclosures with the quail. And lemongrass is fine, which will also help deter the mosquitoes. Get the right direction, there you go, so you can see me. So we got 2 lemongrass. Citronella did not rate well with the animals, so we didn't get citronella, but we did get rosemary, which should do good. So I'll alternate and we'll try and see what works, and what doesn't work we'll replace with something else. So I'm gonna get the sand in there, and my goal today would be to get the doors done and maybe even their little lay boxes that they need. And then tomorrow, if we can get that roof material and the shavings, I think it's pine shavings we need in there, we should be able to move the quail. All right, I got the sand in the last 2, and I put some cut off logs in there to have a little something. Once we learn what grasses they will, I mean, I don't care if they nibble on them, but we do want some grasses to survive in their enclosure. We could plant another or 2 or 3 or something like that. We can add more plants to this enclosure, and really great right now you're seeing with the late summer exposure, if sun on half. Actually, this one has its entire, there's no roof. So half the enclosure will have sun to 1/3, somewhere's in that range. So they'll have room to get sun, and they'll have plenty of shade, and quail like a lot of shade. So the next step is to trim out the doorways and build the doors and put the door stops in. So I'm gonna get all that woodwork done, and then we're gonna build some doors, hang them. I think tomorrow I'll get those last roof panels and build those boxes, and then I think we're putting quail in the enclosures. I have the door stops. Until the door is hung, I just tack it with the center screw. Everything else is pre-drilled. It's drilled 3 on the bottom. Just this one is tacked in. Once I hang the door, I move the stops and adjust the door and everything and get it to close just right. And now I'm doing the trim as well on. I have some of the headers up. Those, once I move the ladder from finishing this one, I'll move over. At the same time, you know, Kagan came out here to help, and really the trim's kind of a 1-person job. So she took on the chore of setting up her rabbit enclosure. So we popped the string off the other enclosure to find what was a rough straight edge. I know that we have the 8x12 for the other group of chickens that will have the rooster and fertilized eggs, so we can replenish our chickens as we see fit, and then the 12x12 for the turkeys. So now she is putting up a 10x20.
Yep.
enclosure for the rabbits to be on natural ground, we are going to have to screen and then probably have a little bit of a mound and wood structure or something like that. But the goal is to have them on natural ground. Now, you know, we want to build something permanent, but we're going through that court case, and I am not allowed to help pay for her rabbit enclosure. She already owns this. This is what she moved them down in. So this is the next step, and it'll get them out of those little cages, which we all agree we don't like. This will give them a whole bunch more freedom. Well, we're gonna sort it out, and we're gonna try and make it as fair and good as quickly as possible for them. So I believe her enclosure goes all the way up to the pile. So I had to trim the 4x4s that this lumber was sitting on. And when we start the tortoise enclosure, we'll start peeling back pilings on this side first. Now for the roof, I believe it was intended to be 10 foot wide with a gabled end, and it has its own roof tarp system and everything. We're not sure what we're gonna do with the roof yet. We may hang a tarp over the entire thing, may put some 2x6s or something like that across and hang a tarp temporarily. I don't know. We're gonna figure it out as we go, but we are gonna get them out of those small cages ASAP. All right, today's supposed to be the home run stretch. I have all my lumber cut for the doors. Those are the other two doors, the lumber for them sitting there. So I just have to pre-drill for a 3-inch screw, and then 3/4 of an inch away, pre-drill for a 4-inch screw. And that's how I put all my corners together. I'll do that on all 4 corners, the bottom of the door and the top of the door. And then I do my little middle supports. And then we're gonna go through our pile of scrap screen. We don't have any small screen pieces that we need to use other than on the chicken and turkey coops and any other future cages we build. But right now I wanna get through all the scraps. I want all the scraps done, and then what's too small to use, I want gone. Or I'll store it, obviously. What I'm saying is anything too small, I want gone. Anything that's usable in the future, obviously, I'll hold on to. But let me get these 4 doors built. I'm super happy to be in the shade. I have a big fan running on me. What a blessing. All right, guys, all 4 doors are screwed together, and I'm starting to piece together the screen. This was a scrap of 2 foot wide. Now, obviously, if I had a roll of 2 foot, I could just roll these out, staple them on, cut them once and be done. But I'm already working through the scraps. These are what's left, maybe 4 inches by 2 feet or something. I'm not gonna ever need that for anything in the future. So I staple them on from the corners where I like them, and then I'll just trim off the extra material. I think this scrap here will end up being the bottom of that door. The scrap off of this one will be the bottom of that door. And I do have leftover 2 foot from doing the buried screen on the quail enclosure. That may get a big section on that one, and then maybe I have to cut up a piece of 4 foot. But I'll get these screened, and once we get them screened, then we have to do the trim over the screen. And I'll show you how that strengthens the door that I build. Obviously, it's pretty strong the way it is, but you know, this joint right here with just those 2 screws, I'll show you how I can make that even stronger with the trim. All right, I'm starting to trim out the doors, and I promised to show you how I make these stronger when I put the trim on. It's not just holding the screen on. You see the screen is just stapled every 4 inches, and look, that staple folded up. My gun gets a lot of sand in it from working on the enclosures, and every once in a while it starts to foul and I have to clean it up. But I did the beveled edges on the corners. I showed you how I did the 2 screws on the corners, tied it together. Now the trim is already put on with 1 screw. I try to get like an 1/8 inch on this edge and a 1/4 inch on that edge. And by screwing it this way, this trim is now grabbing this board and this board and holding them square. And when I do the trim here, I put 2 screws in it, and then I also put a screw at an angle grabbing this board. So everything is tying the door together better for a long-lasting door. All right, I'm out here. I've got all 4 doors hung. I need to adjust the door stops so they close properly, and then put the door latches, the pull from the inside. Okay, I did before. These are just tacked in place, and then I'll bring them to the door and get all that adjusted right. Very cool. You know, the sand is in here, and it's a much higher elevation. I think we can put a little more sand in here, but the sand, which is supposed to be really well draining, is wet. The rain isn't hitting this. It's got a full roof over it, but I think it's wicking up the water from the ground. What else I notice is you see all that little black soil pushed up? That's earthworms. Earthworms are moving in, and the abundance of earthworms in here is really important, because that's what's going to break down their waste in the sand. So quickly the worms have moved into this sand in all of the enclosures. You can see all of that black is worms pushing through. So very cool. I'm gonna finish up getting the lock sets, setting the doors, excuse me, and then I have to build 2 of the lay boxes. I think we're only gonna get quail in 2 of these enclosures, maybe 3, but I think the 3rd will just be a grow out enclosure, and only 2 are gonna be set up for layers initially. All right, guys, we are getting really close. I have the lay boxes done with pine chips as suggested online. The lids I will hinge later, but for now, we'll just set them on, and that'll work out great. I elevated a little bit. For water, I took the 5-gallon buckets that we had sitting on top of the other enclosures, and let's see, this is the one that's actually a new one, and threaded the nipples that were used on the wire cages. So they have 2 waterers per group, and I put tire valves in the old holes. Let's see, that was the new bucket, so I can't show you. So a simple tire valve plugged the existing hole in that bucket. We tried to buy new stuff yesterday at Tractor Supply, and apparently we're coming out of chicken season. I feel like that applies to the rest of the country, but Florida all year round would be chicken season, right?
Yeah, and they're all sold out of everything.
Everything was on clearance. They had all these bases to the watering systems, but no tops. Like it was weird. I was like, how do you have 100 bases and no tops? For the food, for now, we're just using these. I think they were like $6 or $7. So we'll take the existing food out of the trays they already have and probably put them maybe up against their logs right there. They're gonna fling some on the ground, and I'm sure they're gonna eat whatever the excess is off the ground. You know, and like everything, just like the monitors, it's gonna be a learning process, and I'm totally okay with that. We're gonna make some mistakes. Oh yeah, so the boxes I built, these are the lids for the old laying boxes from my chickens at the other property. That's why they're painted black. So we weren't able to reuse them on this property, because I think at the other house it was a 12-foot run, and here we used the 10-foot run. So it was a little shorter, but again, we're building another chicken coop that I believe is 8 foot wide later, for a rooster to be with a couple hens to get fertilized eggs to keep our chickens replenished, because we will start feeding off more chickens that we're raising up. So I need to get the lids on those, food in those couple trays, and then we're putting the quail in. Okay, Kagan has a plan for these. She knows where each one goes. All right, so you said the one is going in here.
Go ahead. She's like, I don't know. Go ahead.
You gotta hurry up and get more in there with that quail so it feels safe. And the other one was going into the third enclosure. It has to feel really good to be on natural ground, but also scary at the same time. See, I see little red ants trucking around on the ground. I wonder what they do when they see the red ants.
Go ahead.
It has to be a lot. What a massive transition. All right, I'm gonna put the camera down and help her. Okay, we are in the enclosure with some of the quail. So here's the scenario. We started out with quite a few quail when Adam and Shannon gave them to me. I think 60-ish, and we had an issue with some predation, and that brought my group down probably somewhere around 30. But the group was getting to be about 3 years old, so we've been culling the ones that aren't laying anymore. Because actually, quail is quite expensive to feed. So if it's not being productive, you need to cull that bird, and obviously we have a use for it as feed for the monitors. So the end groups, we ended up with 8 females and 7 males. So that's where we were. And we were spreading them out through the racks. Actually, Kagan was doing a really good job of separating out one female at a time and then zip tying the leg if she wasn't laying, or like she was really keeping track and narrowing it down to the old birds. So we hatched those couple out of the incubator. We have a buddy, Brandon, who breeds quail, and he's got a group for us that we'll have to raise up and then sex.
You said like 30 birds.
Like 30 birds.
We also have another 32 in the incubator.
32 in the incubator. So we're going to replenish these numbers. The end goal in an enclosure this size is about 22 birds is what we'd like to have. But you know what? I actually think it's maybe good, these smaller groups, for this may be terrifying for that quail to be next to that turkey. I wonder.
Turkey doesn't know what to think of her, so she's puffing up like, what in the world is that little thing?
Yeah, the chickens are gonna harass them, but they can't reach them. I hope it's something they just get used to. And not a problem. But if it is, I can put some of that bamboo weave maybe halfway up as a blind, and it may be actually a good idea to do it across the back. I don't know. Or maybe a plant right there, maybe another lemongrass or something like that. Because they don't know where their boxes are. I haven't seen any of them.
To your right, they're already dust bathing in the sand.
Oh yeah. You guys see that? They're already having a little bath in the sand, which is how they naturally clean themselves. They have not been able to do that in that cage. Yeah, and I see it in the third enclosure. There's so many birds that are laying down and enjoying. The sand is actually wicking the moisture up from the ground, and it is. The temperature's so nice, I could take my shirt off and lay down in that. It feels really nice. So this is really cool. We still need to get the rabbit enclosure set up just a little bit more. I think we're gonna maybe get a little bit more done on it to finish this video, and then we'll check back in on the quail probably tomorrow and finish this one up.
They look happy.
Yeah.
We're happy too.
I am happy. I'm very happy.
I'm very happy.
I can't wait to break that thing down and be done with that. All right, there's a little pecking order. You know, certain birds that are now together haven't been together before, so there's going to be a little bit. And from what I read, you know, the group of females can reject their male, and you'll have to introduce another male. there's going to be some little things for us to learn. Oh, look, they keep pecking at each other. Lots of pecking at each other. And they're eating little stuff out of the sand. Maybe they're eating the ants. Eat the ants. Eat all you want. Yeah, that one bird, man, I tell you what. That's another thing I read. That's all part of quail. They're actually, some of them can be quite vicious. That one's going after every stinking bird. Maybe it's just trying to establish its dominance quickly. All right, on to the next step.
On to the next step. I've been outside for maybe an hour and I am just absolutely drenched in sweat. It is a hot day today. It is so hot. The chickens have been, and the turkey are out here sunbathing. Right, Jamie? Are you in the sun? Soaking up those rays? So today's project is I have all the roof stuff to put back on the rabbit enclosure here. I finished putting the screen, the fencing on the floor. Obviously at some point I'm gonna have to put something else along the bottom so that babies can't come out of those larger squares, but the adults won't be able to get out or burrow out, and that's what matters. And for now. And I think what I'm gonna end up showing today is getting the floor started. And what I mean by that is elevating it by bringing dirt in here and building it up just a little bit so that the animals have a bit of a platform to sit on when it rains and gets wet. So obviously I don't have anything here that's gonna prevent the dirt from washing out a little bit, and it will wash out a little bit, but I'll primarily build it up kind of in the center, and I will definitely give them places that they'll be able to hop onto and get out of the way of the water. But that seems like a little higher elevation anyways, because that's dry and this is wet. We've been definitely enjoying watching the quail scoot around their enclosures. In fact, let's go check in on the quail, because it's been a couple days since they have gotten to be moved into these new enclosures, and it is so much fun to watch them and just see what they've been doing. No, you guys. Hi, ladies. You're up here enjoying some sunshine. Is that sun nice? Yeah. A little bit of sun. Oh, we've got an egg right here. Now, from what I've seen, they've mostly just been enjoying laying their eggs anywhere but the nesting boxes. Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to startle you. So maybe they are using the nesting boxes, but there hasn't been any eggs laid in there yet. Let's see. Let's check on the others. Alright, so right away, we've got an egg on the ground. Oh, it's like an Easter egg hunt. That's cool. Hey! Hey guys! How about you guys? No eggs in the box. But you can definitely tell they've been coming in here and relaxing, so at least there's that. So yeah, pretty awesome. We just got a group of 20-something quail from our friend Brandon. Some young sub-adult quail to kind of start bolstering up the numbers out here. I think it's time to start hitting the ground running with this rabbit project. I have an incredibly attentive audience right now. Very attentive. Because I have some chicken chips here, and they know it. You know, they really do make great garbage disposals for when you have chips it go stale. Don't have to waste anything. All right, so here are the weather panels. I have one more to put up over there, but first, I think it's banana break time. They already see me with the bananas. Already getting, oh, these guys see me with bananas too. Ah, jeez. Hey, Frank the Tank Sinatra. Come over here. Quit trying to climb the screen there, silly. You went the wrong way. You feel silly now? Come on. Upside down breakfast banana. Let her have some, Frank. Come over here, Frank. All right, now you can have some. Go ahead. Before he runs over here, don't try and eat the peel. Eat the banana. There you go. There you go. You're absurd. Oh, you're gonna go for the peeling off. Oh, jeez, okay. You're getting real big real fast, girl. We know what Frank likes, huh? We know what Frank likes. Frank likes pets. And we've got Angus. There you go. Good jump, Angus. Don't jump at me. Tearing into that banana, huh? Yeah. Is food the way to your heart, Angus? Absolutely. Oh yeah, look at that. That's satisfying. That's cool. Okay. Oh, Trace is ready. Trace is ready for some banana. You gonna climb me? A big bite. Good for the fruit. Oops. That just hit Sweetie on the shell. Back to work. Alright guys, it is hot outside. The roof has been started. The dirt on the ground is making its way. And I wish I could have gotten a rabbit on the ground for this video. But what I'm realizing is that as I got the dirt started to be put in here, it is covered in fire ants. Per usual, it is covered in fire ants. So I won't be putting any rabbits on that today. It might be a few days before I can get rid of those ants to be able to put them on it. So there's always another step. Right, guys? We are going to do our best to finish up the rabbits sooner than later so that we can get them out of the play area and into these temporary enclosures. And hopefully we will be able to show you guys that in a next video. Where you hiding out, dude? But we'll check in on the quail real quick. They have absolutely been loving these enclosures. They love being in them. It is an absolute joy to watch them run around and exhibit their natural behaviors in these enclosures. It is really, really cool to see, and we have absolutely been enjoying watching them. I think that concludes this one, you guys. Thanks for joining us. Until next time.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. See you soon.